representation of Vairocana. Mahavairocana, Vairocana, Sun Buddha. The other was Great Sun Buddha, seated in meditation, doing nothing. Here is the Buddha in teaching posture, representing doing something to help you. You haven't got there. You haven't reached the top, but you're pretty close. And a word of instruction may do it for you. So this is this figure. And then we're going to follow these Akshobhya, Ratnasambhava, Amida, and then Amoghasiddhi, and this east, south, west, and north. Now we come to Akshobhya. The word Akshobhya means can't be pushed around, can't be moved. He's at the immovable spot, he has illumination, and the tempter cannot move him. In his hand, he will have the thunderbolt, and you'll see his Shakti, this is the turning about of the Shakti, is addressed to him. Now the quality here is tenacity. The negative aspect of tenacity is stubbornness. Now, if your virtue is stubbornness, hold it. Don't lose it. This is one of the problems of renovating your character. Do you remember the play Equus? The problem, the psychological problem there, which the psychologist realized was, what have I done when I have deprived a man of his God? I think it's Nietzsche who says somewhere, be careful lest in casting out your devil, you cast out the best thing that's in you. And so many people who have been psychoanalyzed are like filleted fish. The character is gone. If you're nasty, be nasty. But the energy, the Shakti, is to be turned around. This is known as the turning about of the Shakti. The stubbornness, if that is all you've got and you haven't turned it around, you will be reborn in the realm of the stubborn, and that's hell. Hell is the place of people who are stubborn about their individuations and what those individuations mean to them, and their personalities and their wishes and notions of good and evil and so forth. So this is your virtue and this is your vice. This is Fudo. This is Akshobhya in the aspect of immovable in fire. This is a Japanese representation. Remember the Vietnam monk that had himself set fire? The picture in the New York Times was a picture of Fudo. There he was seated, immovable in fire with the flames going up. Of course, if he had moved, he would have lost merit. I mean, the whole thing was that he had so transcended the body that he could do a thing like that. It's impudence to do that when you can't do that. And here is holding on to the thunderbolt of illumination. If you are responding to Vairocana's teaching and you are still to be reborn, you will be reborn in a heaven. If you're stuck with your stubbornness, you'll be reborn in hell. There he sits, earth-touching posture, the Buddha at that moment where life is speaking to him in its loudest voice, and he is deaf to it. He's going to the Father, the crucifixion. And now we go to the south. This is the most charming of these Buddhas. His name is Ratnasambhava, born of a jewel. His quality is beauty. And what's the vice? Pride. Now, if your pride is in your beauty, hold to it. But turn it about so that the beauty that you're proud of is your spiritual beauty. And then you will cultivate that. Do not get rid of your vice. If it's pride, make the pride work to your illumination, not to your degradation. That's all there is to this. So if you're reborn under the sign of this deity, you will have a human rebirth. Now we've got three of the realms of rebirth: the heaven, the hell, and the human rebirth. Lord of the South. Notice the beauty of the attitude, boon bestowing, generosity. The proud and the beautiful are generous. This is the favorite Buddha of the East. This is Amida, Sanskrit Amitabha. Amita means immeasurable, Bha is radiance. The Buddha of immeasurable radiance. Now, there's a legend associated with his name. When he was on the very threshold of illumination, he made a vow. He said, I will not accept illumination for myself unless through my illumination I can bring to illumination and release all beings who pay me worship, who honor my name. And so, when he achieved illumination, there broke out before him a great lake. And it was a lake of bliss. And on this lake were lotuses. And anyone who during his lifetime had either greatly or in a less great way paid devotion to Amida would not be committed to another lifetime, but would be reborn on a lotus in Amida's lotus pond, called Sukhavati, the place of bliss. If the person was not even nearly illuminated, his lotus would be closed, and he'd be in a closed lotus. And he'd be floating on this lake, which would be a water of the 5 colors, of the 5 elements. And as the waters rippled, he would hear, all is impermanent, all is without a self. All is impermanent, all is without a self. And around the countryside would be, around the lake, would be these jewel trees with jewel birds singing, and they would be singing, all is impermanent, all is without a self. And musical instruments in the air would be playing, all is impermanent, all is without a self. And presently he'd get the message. Meanwhile, the radiance of the Buddha himself, like a setting sun on the western horizon, would be penetrating the petals, and they would open. And there he would be sitting as a Buddha in meditation, floating on the lotus pond. And presently, in his meditation, he would dissolve into rapture and transcendence. Now, the quality of this Buddha is mercy, compassion. This is the Buddha whose lieutenant is Avalokiteshvara and whose incarnation on earth then is in the Dalai Lama. The quality is compassion. And what do you suppose the vice would be? Attachment. Attachment to that being for whom you feel love. And if you die with that attachment, you will be reborn in the world of the hungry ghosts. Hungry ghosts have ravenous bellies and pinpoint mouths. They can never be fed what they desire. And now we come to the fourth of the surrounding Buddhas, the one of the north. That's the ominous direction. His name is Amogha Siddhi, he who will not be turned from the achievement of his aim. Siddhi is the aim, achievement, Amogha, not to be distracted from it. And you see what's happened is, as we've come down, we've lost, as it were, the Vajra. In the first Akshobhya, there was the Vajra in his hand. And now we're in quest of the Vajra. So there's a descending series here. The virtue here is tenacity of purpose. Not just holding to where you are, but in intention. And the negative aspect is belligerence. And if you die in this context, you will be reborn in the realm of the anti-gods, the demons, the fighting gods. And there he sits. Don't be afraid. And here's another fine picture of him with the double vajra in his hand. This is a great Tibetan representation of the vajra with the yang yin in the center. You get a Chinese and Hindu combination here.